I am your host, FatDag, and you're listening to WhysAdvice. My weight loss journey failed when I focused on how. It wasn't until I switched my focus to why that I truly transformed myself. Join the show on the web at FatDag.com and follow along on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at WhysAdvice. Send in your comments, your questions, and your celebrations, and I'll include them as part of the show. But before we dive in, remember, when you're out of points, stop eating points. Hey, I'm honored to be your wingman as we walk through this journey together because I believe in you. Well, hello, welcome to episode 114 of WhysAdvice, and it's a great weekend, great Labor Day weekend. Hope all is going well for you. If you're catching this on the replay, then just know that every weekend is the same. It doesn't matter if it's a holiday weekend or not, but this specific show is being recorded over Labor Day weekend, and man, we're on Facebook celebrating, we're on Instagram celebrating, having a great time, letting you know all the cool things that are going on. One of my favorite parts that we do in the live segment, if you haven't caught that before, just before we go live on for the show on Facebook and Instagram, I ask you for your non-scale victories. I want to know some of the things that you're celebrating because I always ask you to write them down. And I'm confident that many of you are just not doing that. So I've started a non-scale victory journal that I like to write some of your highlights down. And man, some of the things you write in that I wish I could write them all down, but we'd never get a show recorded. But some of the things you guys are sharing, that's what's confirming for me that we're on the right path, that we're doing the right thing, that we are making a difference in our own lives, and we're recognizing a feeling, and that feeling is what we can tap into that drives us to goal. As I opened the show, I said, I'm honored to be your wingman as we walk this journey together, and I mean that, and I really do. And I want to take a pause from the normal segment just to kind of give you an update of where we are. We're 114 episodes in the books. We're coming real close to 1 million downloads. I get emails and comments and tags about folks who are just continuing to tune into the show for the first time, who are finding it. That's all happening because you're sharing it, you're spreading the word, and you're letting other people know that this is working for you. This is the tool that you're using to help shape your journey, and you're honored to share it. And so the fact that I watch you do that really brings a lot of joy to my heart, because that's the part that I was looking for more than anything, is that we could continue to make a difference. So with that, I got big plans for the show. There's a lot of things. When I started the show early on, I had no expectations that this would take off. I didn't even know what we were going to do with it, but it really has. And early on, there was a handful of folks who believed in me, who kind of provided some of the financial backing to help me kind of keep some of this stuff on the road. I was able to get a lot of it done. You know, I did early on out of my own pocket. And then this small group came up and said, hey, let us help you cover some of the cost. So those guys have been doing that for me, and I really appreciate that. I'm in the works of finding someone who's going to actually sponsor the entire show to help do that. And that's going to allow us to grow in a sense that I want to bring on guests. I want to bring on interviews. I want to bring on a co-host on occasion. I want to record 4 or 5 shows in advance so that we can do a live show. And then the nights that I can't do a live, I can push out a recorded show, so that this continues to be an everyday focus, because I truly believe it's that everyday focus is what it takes to get it done. So I just want to kind of give you that heads up. All that's going to take some more time and effort. There's going to be, some more editing time. I'm going to have to find, some new digital tools that I got to invest in. And so if you want to be a part of that, I simply ask, I'm not going to ask you a ton of times, just going to put it out there. If you go to FatDag.com, you click on the Listen Now tab, scroll down, you'll see a button that says Become a Patron. For as little as $1 a month, if you just want to go ahead and make a monthly contribution, the power of our numbers can make all of that possible. If you're unwilling to, unable to, don't want to, don't worry about it. That's not the intent. The intent is to grow in that direction, but if for some reason we don't do that, that's my why. My why is to grow it bigger than this has ever thought it had to be. If that's not the way we'll do it, I will find the way to do it. So if you want to be a part of that, that's how you do it. But let's go ahead and dive in. Susan's email out of the gate says, Dear Mike, episode 89 got to my heart. My story isn't over, so I'm sending in a celebration first. I'm celebrating 6 months at 170 pounds, a lifetime goal set by my doctor and I. He said I most likely couldn't get to a 155-pound Weight Watcher goal without skin removal. He said it would most likely take years. We thought that I would get discouraged and fail my way back to 296 pounds. Yes, 296. That's a story for a later date. Well, after 6 months at maintenance, the last 2 of those 6 months, I'm happy to say that I'm down 6.6 pounds. I'm closing in on that 155 pounds, even possibly going lower. I'm wanting to finally reach that feeling of saying, okay, no more. I can't even imagine what it's going to feel like after weighing 296 pounds. These last 6.6 pounds I credit to my determination that I get from listening to your podcast. They have been a game changer. I will always feel so blessed to have read one of your first emails telling us your story. You have really helped me so much. I bet for you to know that me getting to that feeling of you saying no more is all you really want in return. So I'm happy to say that it's so close that I can almost feel it. Thanks again, and I will always be grateful for following you on Connect. I will always share wise advice with anyone that isn't already listening and needs your help. Thanks so much for all you do for the Connect family. Susan. Susan, wow, what a great accomplishment. You've got to feel incredible. Now, you opened up, you said, your story isn't over. No, your story isn't over, and your story will never be over. So let's think about that for a second. This is a lifetime journey. It has many stages. It has a weight loss stage. It has a maintenance stage. And then it has this stage called lifetime that we just kind of balance for the rest of our life. So no, your story will never be over, which is great because it's such an amazing story. When you started at 296 pounds, 155 pounds, even 170 pounds isn't something you even understand what it looks like. But you set out to do it. And so you set out on a journey not knowing what the destination was, and you got there. You and your doctor set your goal of lifetime, and that's the way to do it, is you sit with your doc and say, Doc, what can we do together? Your doctor set your 170-pound goal. You got there, and then you took it upon yourself to continue and just focusing on being healthy and eating healthy, getting some exercise. And as I've said many times on this show, if you focus on your health, if you focus on making healthy choices with your food, if you focus on getting some sort of activity, the body will shed what it doesn't need. And that's what's pushing you even closer to 155 when you didn't even think it was possible because you're not focusing on that. Your focus is getting healthy and being healthy, and then your body takes over and does what it needs to do. Now, you credit, your determination, which I credit your determination, but listening to the podcast is just a tool in your belt. I'm completely honored to walk with you. I'm completely honored to provide just a little bit of motivation, inspiration, or whatever it is that you're getting from the show. But I need you to know that as soon as you're done listening, you have to, at that point, take it upon yourself to put that into action. That's where the success comes from. The success comes from you and your hard work. It's not just listening to the show. So listening to the show and listening to what other folks write in, it's extremely powerful. I agree with that. The powerful part of that is it teaches us to reframe our mind, believe in ourselves, and then we take the action on our own to go get it done. And that's exactly what you've done. Now, you're absolutely right. I'm glad that you put this into words because it actually did make me smile when I read it. The number one thing I want is for you to join me at Lifetime. That's it. I don't need anything else I was able to, because the Connect community showed me the way, and I dug deep and found my own way, and we were able to get this done for me and get to lifetime. That was something I didn't know was possible. And now that I'm here, I want every single person to know that they have the ability to do it. And if you know that and you push forward and get there, that is the reward that I'm looking for, is that you're at the point where you say, I did it. And then you start over maintaining it for the rest of your life. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing the podcast with anyone who isn't already listening. And again, as we know, it's completely my honor to walk this journey with you, Susan. So thank you for all of your support. I look forward to you and I chat on Facebook quite often, and that's a highlight of my day often as well. So thank you, Susan, for that. Beth writes in and says, your comments on focus, complacency, and working the program really helped me break through to my third mini goal. Every day, I begin to believe that I can actually get to my goal. Given my age and the length of time I've been significantly overweight, I'm afraid that when I get to goal, I still won't like the way my body looks, and I'll lose the motivation to maintain. I do like wearing smaller clothes. I make it a point to wear clothes that fit even during the weight loss. I try to be wise about it by having some things altered, buying nice looking but cheaper items that look good through several shrinking sizes. But you know how hard we can be on ourselves. Do you have any comments about older folks who still have a lot of excess skin once they've lost the weight? Beth. Well, Beth, I do. And so you got to bear with me for a second, because this is a real part of this journey. For many of us, this is a reality that we're going to have to accept. And so for so long, in order to get to the point where we have done that, where we're going to have excess skin when we lose the weight, it means for so long we neglected our bodies and we didn't really treat them properly. So now we make that shift and we start treating them properly and we take care of them. What happens is the body at that point does kind of, looks different than we expected it to. But if you go so long and you neglect it, you can't all of a sudden magically in a handful of months expect it to be, this magazine image of what a perfect body should look like. So I take that as a battle scar. I take that as I'm completely focused on my health, which is something that I never, ever was before. And so just like you're concerned, that was one of my main concerns as well. And so I was afraid to get to goal because I didn't know what goal would look like. And so here I was, in my case, I was 91 pounds overweight. I did a lot of Google searches and I kind of got the sense that, if you had over 75 pounds to lose, you were going to have to deal with excess skin. And so my brain limited me and didn't even allow me to want to even see a goal number that was beyond 50, 60 pounds because I didn't want to have loose, saggy skin. And I kept just working the plan. I kept going and being healthy and eating healthy and getting closer and closer and closer. In my case, I got a little bit of excess skin. It really only shows up in my bathroom mirror. My t-shirt covers it pretty well. My jeans cover it very well. The sleeves cover it very well. So it really only shows up when I'm alone in my bathroom mirror. And I don't care, because the things that I'm able to do now, I was never able to do before. Excess skin is way better than tight skin. And that tight skin where you all of a sudden you can't fit in the seat that you wanted to fit into. You can't, you need the seatbelt extender on the airplane. I would much rather have excess skin than ask for a seatbelt extender, because the excess skin means that I took control of my life. My reward is I'm healthier. I'm going to be around a lot longer. I've never looked into the option and possibility of the skin removal surgery. I know folks who have, I don't know personally, I hear of folks who've done it, but what I want you to focus on is I want you to focus on the fact that what is the end result of this journey? For most of us, we're at the point now where we're later in life. We've finally woken up to what we're trying to do, and we really start focusing on our health. And we define that differently. And, we say we want to be around longer for our kids. We want to be able to run. We want to be able to walk. We want to be off some medication. If you can get off your medications and you can do some physical activity you've never, ever been able to do before, then your excess skin becomes your badge of honor. And that will remind you daily that you fought hard in this battle. And you made such a significant change in your life that you got some battle scars along the way. And those battle scars you ought to be proud of. You really are. And I know it takes a while for us to embrace that. It's not, we think we're going to lose the weight and be a size, a perfect 10 magazine model. And that we weren't that before. So why do we expect that after? Right? So again, we take it, we own it. Maybe there's some supplements to tighten it. Strength training, add some muscle underneath some of that skin. But the piece I want to hit you with the most is that do not let the fear of the unknown stop you. Do not let you not knowing what you're going to look like stop you. Because what I want you to understand is that the health benefits you're going to gain by getting to your ideal body weight are going to far outweigh a little bit of appearance that you can hide with a little bit of clothing. So, Beth, keep up your amazing work on your journey. I know you can get there, and I know you're gonna rock this program. And when you get there, I want to hear about it. I want you to reach out, and celebrate. Great question, for sure. Sarah writes in and says, "Dear Mike, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for your wonderfully uplifting and inspiring messages. I only found out about your podcast a couple of weeks ago when a woman from my meeting mentioned it to me. I was already following you on Connect, so I decided to check it out. Man, I'm so glad I did. I've loved listening to you on my walks, also in my car, and sometimes in the morning when I'm getting ready for my day. Please keep them coming. They mean so much to me, and I know to so many others. A little about me and my journey. Looking back, I realized I never really had a problem with my weight growing up, and I had a healthy relationship with food. At 18, I joined the United States Navy. I guess it was during these first years on my own that I began to develop some unhealthy eating habits, but it wasn't until I got out of the Navy and the PT stopped that I started to put on some weight. I followed the latest fad diet and I lost 45 pounds within 2 months. I kept that off for a while, then I got married. Before long, my husband and I started putting on the pounds. I had completely lost my healthy relationship with food, and I was now proverbially living to eat and not eating to live. It was at this time, 15 years ago, that I joined Weight Watchers for the first time. Over the past decade and a half, I have tried so many diets, and I've been on and off Weight Watchers at least a dozen times. No matter what I tried, I always seemed to get stuck at about 30 pounds lost. I would eventually gain that back, and then some, and I just kept getting bigger. I would try to make it okay in my head, telling myself that my health was still good, that I was still active, but a couple of years ago, even I had to admit that my health was starting to suffer when I was diagnosed with high blood pressure and put on medication. Still, this was not enough for me. I allowed myself to continue to spiral out of control. It seemed insurmountable to me to lose the kind of weight that I wanted to lose. So I buried my head in the sand. It all came to a head for me on December 9th, 2016. I don't know what exactly changed then, but I woke up that morning with one thought. Enough. I was so tired of feeling the way that I was feeling. I was tired of the ever-present fear that if I kept going the way that I was, I might not be around to see my future or to enjoy my future. I didn't want my children to grow up having the fat mom. I wanted to get off blood pressure medicine. I wanted to wear clothes that I was comfortable in. I wanted to sit in theater seats and airplane seats and ride amusement park rides without a care or concern. I wanted to walk into a room without feeling shame for being the largest one there. I have so many reasons to be doing this, but I've come to realize since that day that my number one why is me, because I am worth it. For so long, I put everyone else's needs ahead of mine. I did so much for others that I forgot about me. Now I'm taking the time for me. I'm being a little selfish, and it feels good. I walked into a meeting that day in December at the heaviest I'd ever been, 310 pounds, and I vowed to myself two things: that I would attend a meeting every week, and that I would track no matter what, good, bad, and ugly. To this day, I have kept both promises. It hasn't always been pretty, and it hasn't always been easy. It certainly hasn't been happening as quickly as I would like to, but I realize that this is a journey, and I have much more to learn along the way. I've had weeks where I went into the negative weeklies by a few hundred, but I tracked it, and I attended my meeting. Some weeks I gained, but more weeks I've lost. I'm down 42 pounds, and I am far from done. The reason I'm writing to you today is because I had a moment today where I kind of lost some of my oomph. It's happened before, and I'm sure it will happen again. I keep managing to pick myself up, but I live in fear that this will be it, that I'll throw in the towel like I have in the past. I'd really like to know how you handle those kind of moments. I had my meeting today, and I lost 0.8 pounds, which isn't as much as I'd expected or hoped, but it's okay because I know that I've done well this week and my body will catch up eventually. It always does. And I'm also now at my lowest weight yet since I joined in December, so I'm celebrating that. Then at work tonight, I was taking a walk on my break and I felt good. My clothes are getting loose. People have been commenting on my weight loss. My energy levels are up. I'm on top of the world, and then I caught a glimpse of my reflection in a window as I walked by and thought, oh, still fat. How can I possibly feel so good and still be morbidly obese? It was such a feeling of defeat. I didn't let it take hold, but it scares me sometimes how far I still have to go, and I'm afraid of thoughts like these. How would you handle it? Thanks again for everything. I cannot wait to sit on the other side of the goal line with you, Sarah. Sarah, what a great email. There's a lot going on in here, and it's going to take me a second to kind of piece it out and walk through, but I kind of want to go through it systematically, working back at the beginning. And so thank you, first off, for the folks in your meeting room for sharing for sharing the podcast so that you're able to get tuned in. And then the fact that you're writing in, I'm positive other people heard everything you just said and can relate completely. And so we're going to spend some time talking about it. So I will continue doing the show. This is my now. It's my own way to make sure that I stay accountable. It's my own way to give back to a community that saved my life. So this is on my agenda for a very long time. I promise you that. Thank you so much for your service to the United States Navy. At 18, you joined the Navy. I'm proud of you for doing that, for taking the oath at that point, saying that you will defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and you honored that oath. So thank you. Now let's talk about that. What you wrote in that very first email or very first paragraph is very common. When many of us, we live at home, we have a healthy relationship with food because somebody else is doing most of the purchasing and all of the purchasing in some cases. When what you have to eat in your pantry is all you have to eat when someone else is buying it. We get out on our own and now we're the ones responsible. There's a disconnect between that. Between when someone else purchases it and brings it home, we just eat what's available in the right moderation. And then when we have to start making those healthy choices in the store, we were never educated on what was actually there, and we fall temptation to some of that other stuff that's just not necessarily helpful along our journey. Now, what I want you to kind of think about for a moment is when you were up to age 18, you were completely content with eating whatever was there. So if we can just shift our mind into providing ourselves with the healthy alternatives to everything that we're doing, you'll be okay because you did it for 18 years. So now we just have to, it's the buying of the stuff is where you have to start focusing on the issue. So I want you to get your mindset back to eating in a healthy mode. So obviously over the past decade and a half, you tried so many fad diets and Weight Watchers a dozen times. You always seemed to stuck around 30 pounds and you eventually gain it back. And then some. That's very, very common as well. So your first 2-3 paragraphs are exactly what many of us are experiencing. We get to that 30-pound loss. I talk about that in episode 72 about complacency. You feel good down 30 pounds. You feel good down 30 pounds from where you started, but you have no idea how much further you have to go. It's why I really want to focus on having a healthy lifestyle and healthy living, because that is where you can make the significant change. So as you continue to be diagnosed with the disease after disease, and you end up going to the point where you put on high blood pressure medicine, just like you, I thought that should have been my wake-up call. But for 6 years, I was on blood pressure medication, wanting more than anything to get off it, but not knowing how to do it. Just like you, I buried my head in the sand. So what I need you to know, Sarah, as we're halfway through here, what I need you to know is everything you're experiencing is probably experiencing by thousands of people on this planet who can relate to everything that you've said. So welcome to the club. The beautiful thing about this club is this club has an exit strategy. You can get out of this club by doing exactly what you've done. You said enough. You're tired of feeling this way. You're tired of not seeing your future. You want to wear clothes. You dug into your why very, very well. I'm proud to see that you've done that. I want you to take another step and take that last paragraph where you talk about the fact that you said you had enough, that you're tired of feeling this way. And I want you to outline what all that looks like when you reach your goal. When you reach your goal and those feelings are gone, I want you to then, write that out. Your why is you. You are worth it, and it's not selfish. The reason that it's not selfish is because if you don't take care of you first, there's no one left to take care of everybody else. Your family relies on you. So it's not selfish. It's actually, but you taking care of you first is actually very powerful to keep your family together. And so that is the important piece that, again, it's just not at all selfish. So now your strategy is very, very awesome. So you did just like me. And so I recognize a lot of parallels in our journey. I walked into the meeting room at the heaviest I'd ever been, and I promised myself 2 things. I'm going to track everything, and I'm not going to miss a meeting. Those 2 things, along with, of course, Connect and my support network, but those 2 things are what got me to just reshape the mind and say, if I have to go to a meeting every single week, and I've committed to going every single week, and I've committed to tracking, then, I will do my best to make sure that everything, I put the effort in to get the results that I want. Now, Sarah, you're down 42 pounds. You're down 42 pounds with many ups and downs along the way. It said it hasn't been pretty, hasn't been easy. You had negative weeklies by a few hundred, and you tracked it. You went to your meeting anyway. So if you did all of that, right, you had negative days, you had this, but you still are down 42 pounds, what you need to understand there is that you can have the success that you're having. You can continue to have success by working the plan exactly the way you've had it. So when you say you've lost some oomph at the moment, what you're in is you're in that point where you just need to realize that pulling yourself out continues to push the journey in the right direction. Continuing to dive down and not caring is not in your mind. You know you can do this. You've seen on Connect, many people have gotten to this and gotten it done. And so as you're in this little bit of a lull, that's the time where you dig back into those feelings of I've had enough. And you read that why, and you go, yeah, this hasn't solved it yet. as you walk past a reflection, you feel good until you see it, because you feel good compared to your starting point. And many of us don't understand what our end result will feel like or will look like. So what happens is as we lose 42 pounds, which is significant work, it's an amazing accomplishment. We're expecting now that we're going to be, looking fantastic, and we do look fantastic compared to our starting weight. And we look at our goal weight, and we don't know what that looks like, so we can't compare the rest of the journey. So then we take the shift and we put the focus on, well, let me just attending my meetings, let me just continue tracking, let me just continue eating healthy, and let me see what my body is willing to shed, and that will get me to goal. As you focus on why you're doing this, that feeling of defeat goes away. That feeling of defeat turns into pride of you're making a difference daily in your life. The ups and downs are part of the process. Continue to have more up days, positive days, upbeat days. The more of those you mix in here, the quicker and sooner you'll get to goal, and you can live the rest of your life maintaining it. When you get to the other side, when you get to the goal line, there's a whole handful of us on Team Lifetime waiting to greet you with open arms and say, welcome to the team. So thank you for your email. It's an honor to walk this journey with you. I know you can get it done. Next up, Kelly says, I joined Weight Watchers out of envy. The coworker who sat next to me joined Weight Watchers in January 2017. I saw how much she had transformed in just 2 months. I decided to join Weight Watchers in March. What you should know is that I've been living with a BMI of obese for 17 years. It was then that I started taking medication for bipolar disorder, and I gained 50 pounds within a year. Even more, I have eaten myself into high blood pressure and diabetes. I got the diagnosis of diabetes several years ago. I made a half-hearted attempt to lose weight then, but I had no support, and I failed. I figured I was just destined to be fat and sick. By the time I joined Weight Watchers, I was a whopping 236 pounds at 5'6". This week, after 5 months on Weight Watchers, I entered Wonderland. I stared at the scale for a moment because I thought there was something wrong with it. I was looking for it to say 200 something. I couldn't even believe my eyes, and I cried for joy. This journey has not been easy, but it's been worth it. At the 4-month mark, the plan had lost its excitement. I was no longer making amazing changes in the way I looked and I felt as I had in the beginning. I started loosening up on the plan, and the scale stalled at 201 for the whole month of July. I almost gave up, but I had come this far. I returned to the basics. I planned, I tracked, weighing and measuring everything. I stayed within my dailies. I stopped eating when I ran out of points. I went back to getting 10,000 steps a day. I added fun to my workout with dance videos. I shook up my diet and I ate new things. That's when the scale tilted in my favor. In July, I also got some tremendous news. My doctor reviewed my labs with me, and I'm 1/10 of a point away from a normal A1C. Not just pre-diabetic, but normal. My triglycerides, HDL, LDL, everything was normal. My blood pressure was normal. My doctor did not take me off my medications, but he said that if I kept at it, he would take me off my medications in 6 months. FatDag, I fooled myself for so long, thinking that my psych medications and my depression destined me for a lifetime of fatness. Today, I am halfway to my goal weight. I know I will make it there because I refuse to be sick and fat anymore. I'm running and I'm walking my first 5K this month to celebrate being in Wonderland. The support of my coworker, people on Connect, people at Weight Watchers meetings, and your podcast have made all the difference in this journey. Thank you for all that you do. Kelly. Well, Kelly, you are crushing it. You're doing it. Yeah, I just like you, I give a lot of credit out to folks who've helped me along this journey. And I do every once in a while have to pause and go, you did this for you. You got to the point where all the tools in the world are useless if you don't know how to use them. And more importantly, you don't put them into action. So great job getting that done. Now, I love the opening to your email. Your very first sentence out of the gate got my attention. It says, you join Weight Watchers out of envy. That's the hashtag. That's one of my favorite hashtags, is hashtag be the prize. So you sat there and you watched someone else have amazing success on this plan. And you said, I want a piece of that. And so what I want you to do is exactly what you're doing. You just now entered Wonderland. You are the prize for somebody else. Someone else is watching you right now and saying, wow, if she can do it, I can do it. And that's how we continue to make this community so wonderful, is that we are then showing other people the possibilities. And when you understand the possibilities, you're able to get it done. Now, when you hit Wonderland, one of the things I like to say is I like to call you Alice, because Alice in Wonderland, that first number on the scale of a 1 is a big deal. It's very hard for that one to go away. So you're going to have that number for the rest of your life. And I'm proud of you. I really am proud of you for getting there. And so you've gotten to the point where you understood in your journey of that there was a complacency part. Your scale stalled around 201 pounds. That absolutely was complacency. And I think a lot of times is as we get to the point where we're focusing so much on the number that we lose sight of the big picture. We kind of lose focus on what we're doing. And we're so focused on trying to get a certain number on the scale, we can't control that. There is nothing you can do to change the number on the scale. You can change your habits. You can change your behavior. You can change what you eat. But you can't change the number on the scale. If you change all your habits and you focus on why you're doing this and you just get free and you reset like you did and you get back to being healthy, the body sheds what it doesn't need. And that's when you instantly broke into this plan. You instantly broke out of that plateau and you got it done. So great job. So you continue to believe in this stuff. We believe that you can do this. And if you eat right, no matter what, it just how it happens. It doesn't matter what diagnosis you have. With all the diagnoses out there that's possible, you can still choose to eat healthy. You can still choose to get a bit of somewhat exercise depending on what you got going on. There is something that you can do. Eating healthy is the biggest one, and you did that, and that is now pushing you forward. So great job with the news from your doctor. I love, your doctor sounds a lot like mine as well. My doctor did the same thing for me. Is when I got down to the point where my blood pressure was normal, he kind of really wanted to see if I was serious. And so he kind of gave me the same thing your doctor gave you, is let's evaluate it for 6 months. Let's see if you can keep this lifestyle going, because I don't want you to put your health at risk by taking you off too early and having you revert. So that right there was the motivation for me to really just cement in my change, because I got what he was telling me to do. And so continue to follow your doctor's advice. That's the most important piece. Continuing to do everything you know, but your numbers are all normal. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that what you set out to do in the beginning? Isn't that what you were envious of when your coworker sat next to you and had all that success? They were living a healthy, happy lifestyle, and you wanted a piece of it, and now you went and got it for yourself. And now you're running 5Ks. You're halfway to your goal weight. Kelly, you are getting it done. I'm proud of you. And as you're getting it done, it's the ultimate way to pay it forward, by showing other people that they too can get this done, that they too can have a bipolar disorder diagnosis. They can gain 50 pounds in a year. They can eat themselves into a high blood pressure and diabetes, and then they can turn it all around if they just believe that it's possible. If you live a healthy lifestyle, it sinks in and you change your life, and we celebrate. Well, what is it that you're celebrating? Let's share it on the air. Go to FatDag.com, click on Listen Now, send in your comments, your celebrations. I want you to work them in because just as we talk about every episode of the show, is very few of us are walking this journey completely 100% a way that no one else on the planet is doing it. Everything we talk about, somebody else can experience, someone else can relate to. And as you share your story, it opens them up to explore their own story, and you show them that you can get it done, and they believe that they can get it done. I want you to email in those celebrations, and I really want you to be proud of everything that you're doing. This isn't easy. At times, this is very difficult. And if you just continue pushing forward and you do your best every single day, regardless of what life has thrown at you for the day, you reevaluate that day and do your best for that day, and you push forward, you can do amazing work. You can have some ups and downs in the plan and still trend down to a healthy, happy life. And that's what I want for you. I want you to join us on Team Lifetime. I want you to be the prize. I want you to reach your goals. I want you to live a happy, healthy life. Well, that's going to do it for this time. Remember that losing weight and getting healthy has nothing to do with luck. You have to remain disciplined and focused. Set your sights on your goal and go after it. I wish you